We're back.
We're back. Ooh, we're mixing it up. I like that. We should have discussed that ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't so confused.
Sorry to throw you a curveball. Just a couple of masters of improv here on the Cavalry. Hey, if you're gonna use it,
and Andrew, what are you doing?
if you're gonna use a different inflection, you gotta talk to me first before we go live.
Not cool, man.
Not cool,
at
dude.
all. Hey, can I start out by telling you that a topic we talked about yesterday has really been a hot button between the Beaner brothers. VHS versus Laserdisc. Luke says Laserdisc was first. That's what you said, right?
That's what I said. Yeah, because I
That's
feel
not
like
right. That's wrong. That's wrong.
wait, but
It has
Luke
to be.
says. What
Yeah,
about Luke?
Who cares? Yeah, but Scott says VHS was first.
But wait, who's older, Luke or Scott?
Scott. And I'm older than Luke.
Oh.
Luke said it was like, well, I thought it was like, no, it's like Laserdisc and VHS came out at the same time, kind of like Blu-ray and HD DVD. And then, HD DVD just died because Blu-ray went mainstream. But that makes no sense. Why would they have a thing that's like a giant CD and then VHS is, were out for 50 years and then they come out with a mini Laserdisc that's a
I'll
CD.
tell you why. Here's what happened. Blu-ray came out Laserdisc came out first because it was like, this is what a movie looks like, or the movie, like a record, right? The record was the exact same size almost. Like, yeah, we'll just make that for movies. And then somebody came along like, we could make a smaller version if we put it on tape, like cassettes, like audio, like then they went from records to cassette tapes, right? For your car or whatever,
Yeah.
You know what a cassette tape is. Why are you looking at me like that? Don't sabotage.
I'm not looking at you.
logic.
I opened a browser and I'm looking up.
No, we can't look it up.
Why do we
That would
even have
ruin it.
debates?
That would ruin it. Don't look it up. No one look this up. And so
This will just be a conclusionless argument.
yeah, I like that. So
Okay.
then they
You
thought
would.
Laserdisc, because like a record. Then the record business went to cassettes, and then someone thought, oh, we should do that for movies. So then they went from Laserdisc to VHS, which looks like a cassette, and it's still on that real, like, film or whatever you call that stuff in the middle. And then they went from cassettes to CDs because they're like smaller and the audio is better. And then when they saw that, the video copied and they went to DVD. That's what happened. That is what happened.
That is the dumb. Yes, that maybe it sounds like it could make sense, but the only thing Laserdiscs and records have in common are the shape and the size. But
that's two big things.
It's a totally different technology, though. One is lasers, the other one is needles and grooves.
Those are two. That's like saying like a pair of twins, and you're like, the only two things those two siblings have in common is they're the exact same shape and the exact same size. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of what things are alike.
Not an accurate analogy. You're starting to sound like my analogies. And that's an insult.
Okay, we're gonna look. You talk. I'm gonna look it up.
What? I just was in the middle of looking it up.
Well, I don't trust your sources. I use this thing called Google.
Okay, what are you gonna do? I'll do DuckDuckGo.
Okay, here we go. What came first? Laserdiscs or VHS? It's like first. Laserdisc was first available on the market in Atlanta, Georgia on December 11th, 1978. 2 years.
Wow, when you said 1978, I was about to say,
I was right.
I thought that Laserdiscs, to be fair, full disclosure, I thought Laserdiscs came out in like 1991 or something.
So it was 2 years after the introduction of the VHS VCR and 4 years before the introduction of the CD, which is based on Laserdisc technology. So I was not correct.
All right, good. And neither was Luke.
Sorry, Luke. I'm sorry, man. It seemed, but it's close. 2 years is pretty close. That might have been closer than what you were expecting.
They were closer to get much closer than I was expecting, and way longer ago than I was expecting.
Yeah. But also, like, you never know. Sometimes, like, someone invents something and it exists, but it's not like on the market or whatever for years and years and years for whatever
Yeah.
reason. But anyway, well, I'm glad we're sparking up debates among your family.
Yes.
You
Do you
guys,
have pre-show discussion points or no?
uh,
I do if you don't. I do if you
no,
don't.
you go. That was got me all riled up. I have to calm down now. So you talk for a minute.
Oh,
Let me
you're
gather
upset after your
myself.
loss.
Yeah.
Well,
That's why we
this
don't look things up, because there's a chance it could be wrong. I don't like
well, we're
that.
both good sports.
I don't like that feeling.
I do we want to have sports talk? Is that and
Oh
talk
my
about
god.
those games?
Did you watch
I
them?
watched both of them.
Wow.
I know it's crazy having a daughter. I don't know. She knows more. She has learned more in the last year
This
than
is
I have ever
amazing.
known or will ever learn. She knows players by their number, like of teams. I don't understand how that works. How do people learn that?
I can only hope that my daughter follows in your daughter's footsteps and just gives me an excuse to watch 7 hours straight of football. You know what I mean? And be like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm hanging out with my kid. We're bonding.
it is fun. Like I get more enjoyment out of watching games now than I ever have because
I
she
mean, I
stays.
would probably get the same amount, or there'd be no change. It would just be like an excuse for me to justify the behavior. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So you watched these games, and what were your
Yep.
thoughts?
The first one I didn't really care. We were rooting for the Eagles just because they're cooler than the San Francisco, but I don't know anything
Right.
about either of them.
Good
And they
choice.
won, so that was fun. And then, I really wanted the Chiefs to win. But again, if they had lost, I wouldn't have cared. It would have been exciting because the Bengals have never won a Super Bowl, so that would have been fun. But I was rooting for the Chiefs. And man, how bad do you think that guy that shoved him at the end and gave them the extra 15 yards feels?
Yeah, I know. He probably feels really bad, but think how great it would feel to just shove a guy and he goes
Yeah, that probably
flying.
felt good for about what
I
five
guess,
seconds until he
yeah.
saw the flag and realized and did the math. Oh fuck!
No,
I just
no, but
killed him.
anytime he sits there and he goes, "Man, I cost my team a chance to go to the Super Bowl," he's got to just think of the next thought, but it's like, but yeah, he went flying after I shoved him, and he just went
Because he did.
10 feet.
Yeah,
I'm strong, man.
I'm just what he does. I'm a big, strong boy. Yeah, it was worth it.
Uh, no, yeah, it was pretty stupid. And then in the first game, there were a lot of stupid penalties too. It was kind of weird. They were weird games because, especially the first game, because then like San Francisco's quarterback got hurt, and then the backup came in and he wasn't great, but they were okay. Then he got a concussion, so they took him out. So then they had to put the guy back in who they
Yeah,
just told you cannot play. They were like, he's injured to the point where we don't think he can be in the game. Then their other guy gets injured. They're like, all right, well, we're going to put in old injury McInderson. And then they're like, well, you're not going to throw the ball. And that's pretty much game over because all he could do was hand it off. So
yeah.
I was like, in that situation, I get very disappointed with the NFL because I'm like, everyone's scared to go like crazy or just do, because to me, if like both your quarterbacks are hurt and you can't throw a pass, you got to just go high variance, and you just
Mm-hmm.
got to go, you know,
Crazy.
put no quarterback out there. You know what I mean? Like run,
and throw backwards passes and
you know, whatever you can do, but like they just handed the ball off 3 times and punted and run fake punts. You know what I mean? Do some crazy shit, but they just didn't want to do it, and then they lost 31-7. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Who are you
but it
rooting
was
for in the Super Bowl?
I guess I don't know, the Chiefs. I guess the Chiefs.
Good
I like
answer.
Mahomes. He's fun.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, yeah, they've won pretty recently, so I don't feel bad for them if they
Oh,
don't
they
win.
have won.
They won like 5 or 6 years ago. They had their backup quarterback won the Super Bowl. It was Nick Foles. They beat the Patriots. They beat Tom Brady.
Oh, old Foley
Yeah.
dog won it for him, huh?
Old Foley doll. Big Dick Nick. That's what they call him.
Cool, man.
I don't know. He has that nickname, and I don't know if it's like
That for real, Big Dick Nick?
that's his real nickname,
Oh, I
Big
thought
Dick
that was
Nick.
an Andrew original.
No, no, I have no inside information. But I don't know if that's his nickname because he played very well in these crunch time. He's like mostly a backup quarterback in the NFL, but then in this one chance he got in the playoffs, he like killed it. I mean, he was like big games,
Okay.
played as good as you could play. So I don't know if that's why they call him Big Dick Nick, or he just literally has a giant penis. Yeah, I'm not sure which it is.
I don't know. I'm gonna put you in charge of finding that out.
No, you Google that one. You duck go that one. That's the one that's safe with your information, right? Yeah, you better use duck go. I'm Big Dick Nick.
Yeah.
We
Oh, crap.
So Heidi and I got in a little bit of a fight at the end of the Sunday because so I went and watched the games. This newer friend of mine, this guy named Perrin, and we watched the first game at a bar that's right by my house, sports bar. And then I was like, all right, let's go home, and I didn't know if he was gonna stick around or what. I kind of thought maybe he would just go home for but he was just sticking around, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out for the second game. So we watched the second game at the house, and then it was close. The second game, it was getting to the end, and Heidi was getting hungry, and then there's like Ginger's been running around, and then it was sort of like okay, so we ordered some food, but the food accidentally went to her because we use the address on those apps. Sometimes it's the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because you order it. So I ordered it to her mom's house, which is right down the street from us, on accident.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, I'll just go over there and pick it up. It's probably in the lobby of the apartment building or whatever. But the game is coming down to the wire, and so she goes, so how much time is this? She's like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I need you to help me. How much time's left in this game? I was like, oh, well, there's like 2 minutes. She's like, it's not going to go to overtime, is it? And she's like, I was like, well, there's a pretty good chance this is going to go to overtime. She's like,
yeah.
And she's like, what? And she got so mad. I was like, I can't control whether the game goes to overtime or not. And then we got like, but then it's like, it's weird. You can't fight in front of a stranger.
Right.
And he's not a stranger, but like a third party,
That's when you got to pull the old, honey, can I talk to you in the other room for a minute?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll just go get the food right now. I don't care about this game. Football doesn't matter. But like it was down to the wire. And so I was like grabbing keys and then like looking at the TV. And then I was like opening the screen door and looking at the TV and like taking one foot out and like, okay, are they gonna kick this or what's going on?
In the window.
I literally was like looking at the game through the window on my way to the car, making sure that I knew the result, and then I went and got the food.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So, but we're good now. Everybody's fine. Nobody's.
Oh, good. As
far as
that's sports/relationship talk on the Cavalry.
Yeah, we should get that sponsored. Sports relationship talk.
Can I tell you I did a Gig Masters gig for this was terrible. We had a huge snowstorm. I was driving home. I almost died. I hit a deer. I hit my first deer.
Oh no, that's my nightmare. Oh my God.
I never have. I've been driving around them all this time. And this was crazy because I'm in the minivan. Thank God. Aaron, it was like supposed to be terrible. It was already terrible when I left. But I was like, I have a gig. I have to go. It was a private show from Gig Masters. And so she was like, take the van because the Prius, is just god awful.
Documented.
Yeah. And
the Priuses are god awful running through deers.
Right. Oh yeah, God.
You don't have the tires for that.
So I got there and the show was for the Cattlemen's Association, a bunch of farmers, which is fine.
Sure.
They're a different breed when you get 300 of them together in a small town. But they were nice. The lady was lovely. That was like, she had me sit with her, and at the big line, it was like, these long tables in this weird banquet hall, whatever. And they had an auction. So that was kind of fun. But she was talking about, she's like, oh yeah, we had the last 2 years, our entertainment was not good. We had some comedians. And I was like, oh, who were they? And I didn't know who they were at all, but she was like, it just wasn't good. He was just talking about his He was like, he was trying to get podcast listeners through his whole show because it just wasn't good. So we were really a lot of pressure on this show. And I was like, okay, great. Okay, fine. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I did the show and it was fine. It went well. It was fun and they laughed and, I didn't destroy, but it was like, yeah, that was a good, solid show.
Yeah.
And then I asked for, they send out a thing for reviews. Hey, can you send a review? And I emailed her. I was like, thanks for having me. I had a blast. You're going to get a bunch of emails from the bash. If you could fill it out, that'd help me get work. I'm going to read you.
Oh my God.
The review that she gave me. So scale 1 to 5, professionalism, accommodating, overall talent, recommendation, overall satisfaction. All 5 categories, she gave me 4s, just because I don't know why people do that. I'm like, well, they don't want them to think it's fake, so I'll give them a 4 instead of a 5 or whatever. The comment, client review. There were some slow moments and not super funny, but overall it was funny and everyone had a great time.
Oh my God.
I mean,
kidding. He's fucking cattleman.
Then, so of course, when you look at my profile, if you're, let's see the comedians I'm deciding between, the top review is some slow moments and not very funny. And then if you hit more, then you see, but overall very funny and everyone had a great time.
She even spaced it out to make sure that none of the compliment was above the fold.
Oh my God. So I wrote to her and I was like, hey, thanks so much for leaving the feedback. A little confusing, and I don't know that that's going to help me get work. Wondering, if that's what you feel, that's fine and thanks. But it reads like the whole show was not funny and slow. So just wondering, and she never wrote me back, but she changed it. I got a notification. She changed it to "Good time was had by all." And Johnny did a good job. We have a few favorite ages, and he recognized that in his presentation. Overall, it was fun and funny. And then she moved one of the categories from a 4 to a 5.
Oh, so you got bumped up even on the numerical system.
I guess so, whatever.
What? Oh, what a horrible person.
So
see, this is like, first of all, that was just like, why couldn't it? That first review is exactly what everybody needs. If you're going to write a review and take the time, just make it a good review. Or if you hated someone, you should only be writing reviews in 2 scenarios. Whether it was just fine and you get prompted, then you go 5 stars across the board. Yep. Like when I get an Uber, I'm not really sitting there thinking like, well, did he stop at every stop sign to a complete stop? And did he ask me my name? And did he, if I got there, it's 5 stars. If he didn't like use any slurs or assault me phically, you get 5 stars.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
That's the criteria. That's the standard that just society has kind of settled upon. It's either 5 stars or no stars.
Yeah. Yep.
And
totally great or awful.
Yeah. So if you're gonna take the time, to write the review, you better have hated me if you're gonna go below 5 stars. I mean, I want to hear, just really lean into it, because then if people are reading it, they go, funny, 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 funny. He was the worst. I can't believe. Then they're gonna go in their head. They're gonna go, well, these people probably are like insane or something.
Right. These people are dumb shits.
But the last thing you want is like 15 reviews of like 4.1. Yeah, he's pretty good,
He's
run of the mill.
Oh God. Yeah. And I hit a deer for her. Give me a break.
So so what happened? That's way more interesting.
Terrible. This is more exciting. So I was driving home I mean, this was I didn't see it. This was a less than 3 hour drive. Took me 4 hours, and it was coming down. And it was like these small. I'm driving through Iowa, so it's these. It's not even high, interstate. It's these roads between cornfields
Stupid roads
that people hadn't driven on in forever. So I'm like trying to find where the last tracks were to stay there, and it's coming down, and it was just awful. I get close to home. I'm probably less than 20 miles away, and I'm driving the van, and a deer is running. All of a sudden, comes up and is running alongside me, just alongside the car because I'm going like 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He's on the, he's on the passenger side, just running alongside, and I'm like, oh my god, this deer is right next to me. I honk the horn, and he merges into the car, like not in front of it, but just into the car, bangs it, and then I don't know if he I don't know what happened. I'm assuming he just ran off, but like he hit the car with the side of his body.
You didn't hit a deer. A deer hit you.
Yes.
We
were next to each other.
You got sideswiped by a deer.
Yeah, he was trying to bully me off the road. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was and it happened so fast.
Wow.
And then
but that's still better. That's still way better than the alternative. Like you hear about these guys going like 80 miles an hour and just a deer and dead in front of them and totaling the car,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there was not a scratch on the car. When I got home, I looked at it. Not a scratch. Crazy.
There you go. Whoa. That
I got very lucky.
Is nuts.
Yeah.
These driving gigs.
I know. And I don't know why I take that. Like I book them in November, and then I'm like, oh, let's see. Late January, upper peninsula of Michigan. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'll just I got a gig in Spokane, which is like 5.5 hours away, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm not driving. But it's funny that I looked at flights and the flights are horrendous. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna take the train, Like that's like I'm so romanticized about the train. But the truth is, I love the train. I love train travel. But for practicality reasons, like they just don't have enough, especially out here. Like they're like, yeah, you could take one. It leaves at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It gets you there the next day about 3 o'clock. We make 47 stops, and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm not taking the train. And so then it's like, then they're like, but the Amtrak offers like a bus that goes right. And then I was like, oh, I guess I could just take the bus. So like now I'm taking the bus to Spokane, and then I was like, oh no, I'm like one of those comics who takes the bus to gigs. And I feel like as I'm getting on the bus, I just want to tell everybody like I'm going to a comedy show. I have not had a DUI. That is not why I'm on this bus. I'm just doing it because I don't like to drive. And that's it. So I'm taking the bus. Well, it's not the Amtrak bus though. It's a different one. It's like a cooler. It's a like a millennial looking bus or something. Gen Z.
Okay. It's not the nerd bus. It's the cool.
Not Greyhound. It is not Greyhound. There was Greyhound, and it was like $4 cheaper, and I was like, nope, I won't do it.
Yeah, you don't want someone to see you.
No, I would not want someone to see me. Okay, that's scary, but I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you survived because I'd hate to end the podcast on such a like. And then Johnny got killed because he ran into a deer. Anyway, hope you had fun with the Cavalry, everybody. I would still do a wrap-up episode. I'd do like a 20-minute just explainer, maybe do some highlights.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. A clip show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's get into it, shall we?
Let's do it. You go first. I think
Me go. Okay. I'm going. I'm looking at my this is perfect. So my daughter, she loves Winnie the Pooh. For the longest time, every time she watches TV or any music, anything, it's got to be Winnie the Pooh theme. That's her favorite. Doesn't matter what era it is, 70s, 80s, 90s, movie, TV show, Doesn't matter. As long as it's Winnie the Pooh thing, she's into it. But I was on Disney Plus, about to pull it up for her again, and then she said something about she wanted to see a show about kangaroos. She's like, I want to see a show about kangaroos. You know, you're like, all right, you know, because they have all those nature shows on there too. So I was like,
Yeah.
I just said kangaroos into the search. I was like, let's just look for kangaroos. And this kangaroo show came up, and I was like, great. So I put it on, but it's like live, it's real. It's like the real kangaroos. She watched it for like 2 seconds, and she was like, I don't, this is bullshit. I don't want to watch this actual kangaroos. I want them to like talk and
Yeah, Dad, I
have
feel like I
little,
might be learning. Can you change the channel?
yeah. I want to have them like, you know, fireplaces in their treehouse and stuff. I don't want this. So turn that off. But then the other one that's on there is Bluey. Have you ever heard
Yeah.
of Bluey?
Yeah, that's
Your
Bluey's
kids?
great.
Yeah. Bluey's great. Bluey's, they're short
Yep.
and they're
Funny.
Australian. So they're like, just the way they talk is funny. Like, who stole my dollary dues? You know, like that's how they, everything's a stupid word for everything. It's great. It makes me laugh. But here's my problem with
Everything's
Bluey.
a stupid word. Yeah.
Here's my problem with Bluey and any kids show.
Okay.
If this is their scenario. There's a dad in Bluey who's like the greatest dad ever.
Mhm.
Like he's always home. I don't rarely show him going to work. It's mostly like he's already home from work or like whatever. And then
Yeah.
like he's just engaging. He's very creative. He's funny. He's acting out different, like he's being the doctor or the patient or the ambulance, or he's got all these like games he plays. He's just like the perfect dad, right? And I was
Yep.
like, as a dad, I don't want to be sitting there when I've decided like I'm just gonna put TV on for my kid. I don't want to be reminded of the better dads. It's like I'm being cucked by this dad who's like the greatest dad of all time.
Yeah.
Like I got, you know what I mean? Just make the
Yeah.
show about kids out in the wilderness who are like fending for themselves. I don't need to be reminded that there's better parents out there actually engaging with their kids.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
Okay. Yeah.
You got here's my advice though, is what you can do is just kind of occasionally while you're watching, just remind your daughter that you provide for her and be like, oh, hang on. Oh, you know what? You keep watching. I'm gonna go make sure all of our bills are paid and that we live in a house.
You know what I did? Have you ever done this where you're watching the show and you're basically doing it because you got to send some emails, or so you have your laptop on your lap or your phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like I'm watching the show, and then every once in a while, you know, I'll see like Pooh is playing in the mud puddle or something. Like I'll just the way I engage is go, oh, is he playing in the mud puddle? You know, like talking to her about it, and she'll just look at me like, yeah, I'm watching the same shit you're watching. What are you? Either just do what you're gonna do or play with me and turn this off, but don't try to have it both ways.
Don't half-ass it, Dad.
Oh, is Rabbit working in his garden? Yeah, he's working. What? I'm trying to watch this.
Yeah,
Like,
just
oh,
do your
okay.
emails.
Just
Yeah,
not
just
a-
send your avails.
Yeah. Just trying to be like Bluey's dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so funny. She just dismisses you. Nice try, Dad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's really, she just looks over and it's like, I'm fine. Unless you want to actually, do you want to turn this off and actually engage and
Parent?
play and parent? Well, I know I don't really have time for that.
Yeah, no, I do have to
Okay.
get these emails out.
Well, then I better get back to my show. Thank you.
Well, then I'll get back to watching Pooh in the Garden.
So
That's
that's it. I know you backed me up, but I was just,
Of course.
that's what I,
That's hilarious. That thing about the Bluey, Dad, you thought about doing that on stage as a bit.
yeah, well, it's written down in my notes on my phone, which is where most of the bits go to die.
I have a note that's like it's just a screen full of like, oh man, I'm gonna have a new album in no time.
Yeah.
I just have to
Dude,
do
it's-
these.
It's
and
so crazy.
own them.
Because then when you really do the math on it, it's like, see, like sometimes it's easy to fall into ruts where you're not writing, producing new material. So like the other day I went to a coffee shop and I wrote, and I had like, you know, you have the one idea and then you kind of have like the one line or whatever. But then I always try to like play it out. Like, what if this, what if that? And then go as far as you can, right?
Yeah.
And then what you realize is you go and you do the open mic and you do the idea, you do the line, then you do all the play it out. And you're like,
Yep.
the only thing that worked was the original stupid line. All that was a waste of time to go right out.
All that did was
All that effort.
discourage me from writing in the future.
So this notebook full of stuff, you're like, most of it is just shit, just pure shit. But I guess I still do it because I'm like, well, what else are you gonna do? You got to pretend like you're working or something.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Two of those, I did exactly that. I had a show on Thursday at this like opera house in Illinois, and it was really cool. And a bunch of my family. Oh,
Yeah,
have
I
you
saw
ever
the
done
pictures.
a gig? You ever do a gig where a bunch of either friends or family show up and you feel like an asshole because you didn't reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'm going to be 15 minutes from your house."
Yes,
that happened. I was like,
but
"Oh,
they
I'm from
came
Omaha."
though. You know,
They came.
the worst version of that is when you don't say anything, they don't come, and then they give you
they
shit
tell you,
after. Why didn't you tell? You're 15 minutes from my house. Why didn't you tell us?
Well, I did have that also with because I have a lot of family that lives there.
Oh,
A bunch of them came, and then the other one I saw a Facebook message that was like, "Oh, I wish I would have known. That's right by me. I would have gone." But I was like, "Oh, I didn't find out till I was on stage. I was like, "Oh, I'm from Omaha." And one guy clapped. I was like, "Oh, are you from Omaha?" He's like, "No, I got family there." And I was like, "Oh, who's your family?" And he goes, "The Beaners." And I was like, "Oh, shit." And I was like, "I recognize that voice." So while I'm doing my set, I'm like, thinking like, "Oh my God, I'm an asshole." But but in that show,
what family? You are my family. You're like, all right, whatever, dude.
You say so. God, you guys see the drunk out there? Yikes. But I did one of the bits. I was like, "Oh, I should do it." And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
Yeah.
And then I did the bit about vomiting at a wedding and my wife telling everyone I was drunk.
I love that one.
I know. I gotta rework it because maybe I just didn't tell it well enough. I didn't really have it planned out.
That's
that one went better than the other one, but yeah, it's just
yeah, because like I'm trying this bit right now where so the idea is like some people won't post pictures of their kids online, right? They think it's a privacy concern.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was like, well, at first I wrote all this stuff about like, who do you think you are? And like, what do you think your kid's Spider-Man or something? Like, is going to this secret identity? Who gives a shit, you know? And then all this, and then also like, well, what? So, I mean, what is the actual concern in your mind when you post like, what do you think is happening?
They're concerned that he's Spider-Man and you're blowing his cover.
No, this is like gross, but the real thing is you're worried there's sickos out there pleasuring themselves to images of your children, right? That's the concern.
Is it?
I don't know. I post pictures of my dad, so I don't know. It's just like I was trying to think of why.
I just assumed it was like, I don't know, like, oh, I don't want myself all over the internet, but I guess there could be people pulling out their.
Yeah. That's why I post pictures of myself, hoping that there's somebody else.
Mm-hmm. You're always winking into the lens.
So, so then though, the joke was that like, if you don't want to post pictures of your kids on the internet, fine, respect. I get that. Personal choice. But I've seen people multiple people. So this is not a straw man. Post pictures of their family on the internet with their kids in the photo, and then they'll blur out the kid's face, which to me suggests there's a tier that I could pay for to get access, which is so much creepier, you know?
Follow
then
my Patreon. There's no blur filter. Got a fans only for my family.
Yeah, like
photo.
it's only fan for your kid. And then so that does all right. And then I wrote all this other stuff, just bomb, 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 bomb. All the stuff before that, bomb, 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 bomb. But this one little part does pretty good.
Yep.
So you're like, okay, well, what is it? I can't just have that. I can't just like randomly start talking about an OnlyFans for kids and then move on quickly. You know, where is that ever gonna fit in anywhere?
Yeah, you got to work on a transition into your Walmart bag.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So that's comedy, folks. But
yeah,
okay, what do you need backup
all right,
on?
so my topic is so Aaron wants me to see this special. It's not for any particular reason. She's very health conscientious. Is all about supplements and being healthy and taking care of it. She's seen, I think, this same doctor, but she's like, you need to do that because she sees how I eat. But she's like, it's a guy that, they draw your blood and they do all these different tests to it, like to find out not just your cholesterol and all that stuff, but like, oh, you need this supplement, you need that. And I just think it's silly and overrated because what's the end game? To live longer, like those last years. I want to live long enough.
Yeah, you have to be clear. Longer than like, I think like 85. Yeah, you're like,
I want to live long enough to where my kids are independent, set, happy, but I don't need to be anyone's burden. I don't need to not know where I am. And maybe that's what these supplements are like. They're good for your brain, so you do know who you are and you don't. But even still,
that's the problem. Is you're gonna be like 59 and be a burden. So that's why your wife wants you on supplements. You're like, yeah, Johnny, I don't give a shit if you live to 100. I just don't want to be changing your diaper before we can 60. Go get an RV and go to the Grand Canyon.
I just think if I am meant to just die of bad health when I'm 78, then who am I to mess with God's plan?
Who am I to mess with Burger King's plan for me? Taco Bell and Ben and Jerry's, they have a plan for me, and I am not one to question.
That's with Burger King's plan.
Chipotle, take the wheel. Here's where I'm with you.
Yes.
I think because sometimes like my daughter can be very picky. You're not even supposed to say that anymore, but they said I won't say it in front of her, but she can be very picky eater. And then I get worried. I'm like, she doesn't have enough protein, or she doesn't eat any vegetables, or all she eats is fruit and yogurt and whatever. And then but then you really think, especially at that age, it's basically like calories. Like your body can do a lot with whatever. And I do think it's like calories. You just need calories and you burn, you run, you're in good shape. I do think that's like 98% of it. And then everything else.
Here we are talking out of our asses. Andrew.
Well, you asked me to back you up.
Andrew said I'm fine. I know 98% sure.
But this again, you're right. You're asking me to back you up, and I don't.
I know.
Obviously, I'm not a doctor.
I'm on your team.
I'm just saying, intuitively, to me, it's like, okay, do I want to lose weight? How should I do that? The number one thing would be to eat a little less food.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, if you eat at 6 a.m. and it's all foods from the southern hemisphere. I mean, they do all these crazy diets, but it's even the intermittent fasting thing, right? It just limits the amount of food you can eat because you can only eat so much food between those hours, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you ever, like I was thinking about it, is like, if I ever just stopped when I felt like eating and I was like, oh no, I can't eat right now, that would like stop a lot of the food that I eat. You know what I mean? Like if there's just some rule or whatever. So I think that's what all diets are. And so, I mean, you don't need to lose weight, obviously, but then like as far as your whatever blood sugar or
Gravy in
cholesterol
my
or
veins.
gravy in your veins. I mean, I don't. I'm with you. I think that stuff you're getting enough too. You're getting enough health, like just from being around your wife. You know, like just the meals you're forced to sit down.
I thought you meant just by like being like through osmosis.
Yeah, no.
I'm close to her.
You guys sleep next to each other, right? You get health that way.
Yeah.
No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, just I eat so much more quality meals being married than I would not being married, you know, and I think you got to account for that too. Because you're only thinking about the bad stuff you eat, but you probably eat a lot of good stuff too.
I do. I had my dinner. I'm starving. My dinner was all leftover Brussels sprouts from.
See, look at you.
Yeah. I got to make a pizza tonight. Anyway.
Yeah, there you go. See, it balances out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta be honest with you. During this was a great episode, but the whole time I had a big boner because I'm excited for what we're about to do.
Oh, I know. So if you're like, why does Johnny have a raging hard on right now? It's because we're about to record our bonus episode on the Patreon. So if you're not a Patreon subscriber, sorry, you're gonna miss out. But it's easy to join if you want. Plans as low as $5 a month.
That's right. And
which is the cost of Paramount Plus with ads. I know because I just signed up to watch Tulsa King. Yeah, I wanted to watch this Stallone show.
Oh, sure.
I'm such a sucker. And then once you're on Paramount Plus, you're like, oh my God, hook it up to my veins because it's just all dad content all the time. It's like all that Yellowstone shit and Harrison Ford and 1883, these Western stuff. I mean, it's just fantastic. So,
oh God,
big Paramount Plus guy all of a sudden. But so listen up on the Patreon for our bonus episode.
Or would you rather episode?
Would you rather? I'll be in San Diego February 17th and 18th at the Mic Drop Comedy Club. So any San Diego people, or if you have friends, send them my way.
All right. I will be at Farley, Iowa. No more details on the gig yet. They're going to send them to me later. But I'll be at Mr. Brew's Tap House in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, this coming Saturday, the 11th. And I will be at the Bare Bones Brewery in Oshkosh, I think. Yeah, at Oshkosh on the 3rd of March.
All right.
At the Fox Valley Comedy Bare Bones Brewery.
Go see Johnny. Go see me. And listen to our Patreon. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening to
The Cavalry.
Cavalry.